Here's a question that haunted Rome. When does a hero become a tyrant? Is it when he seizes power, when he refuses to give it up, when he starts making decisions no one else can question? Or is it the moment people believe he's a tyrant whether he actually is or not? Caesar's standing at the peak right now, dictator for life, master of Rome, conqueror of Gaul, victor of the Civil War. He's got everything a man could want: power, glory, wealth, legacy. But there's something he doesn't have, the one thing that would make all of this permanent, legitimate, unchallengeable. A crown, the title of king. And Rome hasn't had a king in 500 years. The very word makes Romans shudder. Their whole identity is built on rejecting monarchy, on being a republic. So when whispers start spreading that Caesar wants to be king, that he's planning to declare himself monarch, people start sharpening knives. This is the story of Caesar's final year, of how suspicion became conspiracy, how loyalty became betrayal, and how the greatest general Rome ever produced died on the floor of the Senate, drowning in his own blood, killed by men who claimed they were saving the Republic. But here's the twist: they might have murdered the wrong enemy. Rome, 45 BC. Caesar's back from Spain, where he crushed the last remnants of Pompey's supporters. The civil war is officially over. Every enemy's dead or surrendered. The Senate throws him triumph after triumph, 4 in 1 month, celebrating his victories in Gaul, Egypt, Africa, Spain. Rome never seen anything like it. The parades last for days, prisoners chained and marched through streets, treasure on display, exotic animals, reenactments of battles. Caesar rides through in his golden chariot, and the crowds scream his name like he's a god. But some people aren't cheering. Some senators watch those triumphs and see something terrifying. Caesar's not just powerful, he's irreplaceable. The whole system now revolves around him. He controls the legions, he appoints magistrates, he decides which laws pass. Senators who used to debate policy now just wait for Caesar to tell them what to do. The Republic isn't dead yet, but it's on life support, and Caesar's the one controlling the machine. Here where it gets complicated though. Caesar's actually doing good things, real reforms. He's overhauling the calendar. The old Roman calendar was a mess, completely out of sync with seasons. Caesar introduces the Julian calendar, which we basically still use today. He's settling veterans in new colonies, building infrastructure, expanding citizenship. He's planning a massive invasion of Parthia to avenge Crassus. He's talking about conquering Dacia, more glory, more expansion. From a policy perspective, Caesar's brilliant. But from a political perspective, he's a nightmare. Because he's making these decisions alone, there's no real debate, no opposition. If Caesar wants something, it happens. And some Romans, especially the old aristocratic families who remember when the Senate actually mattered, are watching this and thinking, this is exactly how monarchies start. Then Caesar starts doing things that make people nervous. He's putting his face on coins. That's new. Romans don't do that with living people. That's what kings do. He's wearing a purple toga and a laurel crown constantly. Purple's the color of kings. The crown's supposed to be for triumphs only, but Caesar never takes it off. He's sitting on a golden chair in the Senate, elevated above everyone else. When senators come to honor him with new titles and powers, Caesar doesn't stand up to receive them. He stays seated, like they're beneath him. It's disrespectful, arrogant, and it's making people who used to support him start questioning. Then comes the Lupercalia incident, February 44 BC. There's a festival. Lupercalia and Mark Antony, Caesar's right-hand man, loyal as they come, is running through the streets as part of the celebration. He runs up to Caesar, who's sitting on his golden throne watching, and Antony offers him a crown. A royal crown. The crowd goes silent. This is the moment. If Caesar takes it, he's declaring himself king. 500 years of republican tradition gone. Caesar refuses. The crowd cheers. Antony offers again. Caesar refuses again, louder this time. More cheering. But here's the thing, some people think it was staged. A test. Caesar wanted to see how Romans would react to the idea of him becoming king. Others think Antony did it on his own, trying to push Caesar into something he wasn't ready for. Either way, the damage is done. Because now everyone's talking about it. Did you see that? He refused, but what if he hadn't? What if next time he says yes? The paranoia's spreading. And in the shadows, a conspiracy's forming. His name is Gaius Cassius Longinus. He's a senator, a former general, fought in the civil war on Pompey's side, but Caesar pardoned him afterward, gave him positions, treated him with respect. But Cassius hates Caesar. Not personally, he's got nothing against the man, but he hates what Caesar represents, the end of the Republic, the concentration of power in one person. Cassius looks at Rome and sees tyranny, and he decides someone needs to do something about it. So he starts recruiting. Quietly, carefully, he approaches senators he thinks might be sympathetic, men who remember the old days, who value the Republic, who see Caesar as a threat. Some refuse, too risky, too loyal to Caesar, too scared. But some listen. And Cassius builds his conspiracy slowly, a dozen men, then 24. Eventually, over 60 senators are involved. But Cassius knows he needs someone special, someone whose name carries weight, someone whose involvement would legitimize this. He needs Marcus Junius Brutus. Brutus is interesting. He's young, respected, honorable, and he's Caesar's friend. Actually, more than a friend. There are rumors never confirmed that Brutus might be Caesar's illegitimate son. Caesar had an affair with Brutus's mother Servilia years ago. The timing lines up. Whether it's true or not, Caesar treats Brutus like family, trusts him, loves him. But Brutus is also a descendant of Lucius Junius Brutus, the man who overthrew Rome's last king 500 years ago and founded the Republic. That legacy weighs on him. Everywhere he goes, people remind him, "Your ancestor freed Rome from tyranny. What are you going to do?" Cassius knows exactly how to manipulate this. He approaches Brutus carefully, talks about honor, duty, legacy. Your ancestor killed a tyrant. Now there's another tyrant. What will history say if you do nothing? Brutus struggles with it. He loves Caesar, owes him everything. But he loves Rome more. He joins the conspiracy. And once Brutus is in, others follow. Because if honorable Brutus thinks this is necessary, maybe it is. The conspirators plan carefully. They need to kill Caesar in a place where they won't be stopped by his guards, somewhere public enough to make a statement, but controlled enough to escape afterward. They choose the Senate meeting on March 15th, the Ides of March. Caesar's scheduled to attend. No bodyguards allowed inside Senate tradition. Perfect. March 14th, 44 BC, the night before. Caesar's having dinner with friends. Somehow the conversation turns to death. Someone asks, "What's the best way to die?" Caesar answers without hesitation, "Suddenly." That night his wife Calpurnia has nightmares. She dreams of Caesar dying, of their house collapsing, of blood everywhere. She wakes up terrified and begs Caesar not to go to the Senate the next day. "Please stay home, I have a bad feeling." Caesar almost listens. He's superstitious. Romans are, omens matter. But then Decimus Brutus, one of the conspirators, someone Caesar trusts, completely shows up at his house. "You can't miss the meeting," Decimus says. "The Senate's going to offer you important honors. If you don't show, they'll be insulted. People will say you're afraid, that your wife controls you." Caesar's pride wins. He agrees to go. On the way to the Senate, a fortune teller stops him in the street, the same one who supposedly warned him weeks ago to beware the Ides of March. Caesar smirks. The Ides of March have come. The fortune teller replies, Yes, but they have not yet gone. Caesar keeps walking. He enters the theater of Pompey, where the Senate's meeting, because their usual building is under renovation. Ironic, right? He's about to die in a building named after Pompey. The senators surround him, pretending to discuss business, getting close. One of them hands Caesar a petition. Caesar starts reading it. Then it happens. Servilius Casca grabs Caesar's toga from behind and stabs him in the neck. It's the signal. They all rush in, daggers everywhere, 23 stabs total. Caesar fights back at first, tries to defend himself with his stylus, a writing instrument. But there's too many of them, too many blades. He's stumbling, bleeding, dying. Then he sees Brutus coming toward him with a dagger. And Caesar stops fighting. According to some accounts, he says, "Kai su teknon," Greek for "you too, child." Others say it was "et tu, Brute," and "you, Brutus." Or maybe he said nothing. Maybe he just looked at Brutus with betrayal in his eyes. Either way, Brutus stabs him. And Caesar pulls his toga over his head, because even dying, he's Roman. He won't let them see him weak, won't let them see his face in pain. He collapses at the base of Pompey's statue. The greatest general Rome ever produced, the man who conquered Gaul, who crossed the Rubicon, who defeated Pompey and won the Civil War. Dead at 55, stabbed by his friends, on the floor of the Senate. The conspirators stand there, covered in blood, holding their daggers. They expected cheers, liberation, Romans flooding the streets celebrating the death of a tyrant. Instead, silence. People are terrified, confused. Caesar's dead, yes, but now what? The conspirators realize they've made a catastrophic mistake. They planned the murder perfectly, but they didn't plan what comes after the murder. They thought killing Caesar would restore the Republic, that everything would just go back to normal. But you can't unring that bell. You can't murder the most powerful man in Rome and expect stability. Within hours, the city in chaos. Mark Antony seizes Caesar's will, his papers, his money. Octavian Caesar's 18-year-old great-nephew and adopted heir hears the news and starts moving. The conspirators, they flee Rome, because instead of being hailed as heroes, they're being hunted as murderers. And when Antony reads Caesar's will to the public revealing that Caesar left money to every Roman citizen, that he donated his gardens to the people, the mob turns. They don't see liberators, they see assassins who killed a man who cared about them. Rome burns with riots, the conspirators' houses are attacked. And in the chaos, 3 words become clear. The Republic's dead, it died with Caesar. But what comes next will be so much worse. Stay tuned for the next part and don't forget to like and subscribe.